Do you ever hyper focus on one project, problem to solve, or creative idea to the neglect of other things that you have to get done? Do you ever get stuck on something? What do you do when you find yourself in this situation as an INFJ? That's the question we're going to answer on today's show. It's so easy and natural to get sucked into the vortex of wanting to focus, hyper focus on one project, one problem, one creative venture. So much so that we can spend extended periods of time on that, ignoring everything else around us. I don't know if you've ever had this experience where you're researching and you just find yourself looking up and 4, 5, 6 hours have gone by and you wonder what happened with the world. You forgot to eat, you forgot to go to the bathroom, you find that you're tired or that other people have left. The world has moved on, but it's as if your time stopped and everything stood still as you researched or worked on this creative project or continued to do whatever it was that you were hyper focusing on. And I got to be honest, this is a gift in a lot of ways. It's one of our greatest strengths, just the ability to zero in and understand something with great clarity, especially when it comes to the human mind or helping people solve their personal problems, anything psychological, often spiritual, and things in that realm. So it's a really great gift, but it can also create some problems for us. One of our biggest challenges as INFJs is dealing with the world of extroverted thinking. We have trouble seeing all of the to dos to take care of and then properly allotting time for each one so they get done. What we'd rather do, at least this is my experience, what I'd rather do is choose my favorite problem to solve, my favorite project to explore, my favorite question to answer and research, and then dive into it and find out everything we can about it and just research it and understand it really well. So this can be a challenge in some situations because sometimes we just need to get stuff done. I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you before. Often I'll have a to-do list that I've got to crank out. But again, one thing will draw my attention. I'll spend several hours on it and a lot of energy and be excited about what I made, but then realize that I probably could have gotten it done in like 10, 15 minutes. And I've just spent a couple hours that I needed to give to some other projects. So now I've still got to get those other things done, but I'm physically tired and I don't have the energy to continue, at least not with the quality that I want to get these other things done. And then I get home and I'm exhausted and the cycle repeats itself. It's frustrating for you. It can be frustrating for others whom you need to give your time and attention. So it can be really helpful to learn to figure out when you should dive into something and when you shouldn't. And another way to say this is the idea of matching your task to your time. You ask yourself, what all do I need to get done? And how much time can I reasonably allot to each thing? And then you do it in that amount of time, giving yourself some buffer, and you don't beat yourself up when you can't do it perfectly because you're just not going to be able to do everything perfectly. And when you get used to this, it really relieves a lot of the stress of perfectionism. You know, you may not like it. I don't think I ever like it. It's really hard for me to do work that I don't think is the quality that I want it to be or quite to the standard I want it to be. But sometimes the people I work for just don't care about that level of quality in the same way I do. It's not that they don't want it done well, it's just that they're more realistic and they expect a practical result. So sometimes it's okay to give that. Another helpful key is to keep in mind that adopting this practice will free you up to focus on the things that you really want to focus on. It's a lie to think that we can do whatever we want in life as much as we want. The honest truth is that if you really want to be free to get good at what you care about or to zero in on what really matters to you, you have to decide what you're not going to do. You have to make a stop doing list to some extent or decide, hey, these things are less important. I'm going to get them done at an okay quality. But this is what I'm good at, this one particular field. I'm really creative. I'm a great writer. I am a great thinker. I'm good at helping people understand themselves. I'm a counselor. I'm a speaker. I'm a coach. I'm a teacher, whatever it is for you that really brings you to life, you feel like you're good at. Figuring out what that is and then devoting time to that. But the other stuff you just kind of have to get done. And that's when matching your tasks to your time becomes helpful because it frees you to do your best work where you have the potential to really impact the world most. And again, it also takes that weight off your shoulders, that feeling that, hey, I have to do everything perfectly, because nobody can do everything perfectly. And if you go at life that way, you're going to end up burnout, frustrated, and exhausted rather than energized and growing in something that matters, that you can do well, that helps a lot of other people. Credit to my ESTJ mentor for a lot of these great ideas. When it comes to getting things done in the practical, real world, ESTJs and ISTJs are great to go to. And we have a lot to learn from those sorts of people. So I can thank him for the task and fitting it to time idea, because that's helped me a ton. One of the other things that he shared with me is Stephen Covey's time management matrix. The way the matrix is organized is that it's split into 4 quadrants based on urgency and importance. The first quadrant is urgent and important. So, for instance, if you're at work, some phone calls are ones that you need to take, like when it's from your boss and he has an order that he needs you to jump to right now. If you work for a boss, or if you work for yourself, if you get a project that you need to finish by the end of the month that pops up that's going to help you meet your earnings goal, whatever it may be, it's something that needs to be done right now. And it's important to helping you reach a goal or keep your job or whatever it is that you need to do. The second quadrant is not urgent and important. And this is where you want to spend the majority of your time. That's why I've colored it green. These are the things that help you to dig into what you're best at, to plan long term, to improve, to make a big impact, to be the best you can possibly be. And it's geared toward your physical, relational, personal, vocational growth. Again, ideally, this is where you want to spend the majority of your time. In quadrant 3 and 4, these are the big time wastes. Now, quadrant 3 is easy to get sucked into because these are things that pop up and demand our attention. Again, it's often phone calls, emails, text messages, or coworkers popping into the room. And again, a lot of these are work analogies, but this can apply to other areas of your life too. People or things just coming in and interrupting you and demanding your attention, but really they're not helping you accomplish anything strategic. So ideally, you don't want to spend any of your time on these, and you want to come up with strategies to avoid and block out most of these if possible. These are like group email chains with conversations about funny things that, in general, I don't think we INFJs enjoy quite as much, although sometimes it can be good to get into the relationship. And then quadrant 4 is just not urgent and not important. These are the big time wastes, like just watching a ton of TV all the time. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it if it helps you to relax and to recreate, or if you've had a really terrible day. But if you have a pattern of watching tons and tons of TV, that might not be the best way to spend your time. Or if you're spending a ton of time on video games all the time, that may not be helping you use your time as effectively as you possibly could. So just things to think about. But when you think about all the decisions that are before you and how you're going to get them done, take some time to think about these quadrants. And ideally, you want to spend a lot of time on quadrant 2. And I'd encourage you to look this up and delve into it a bit further, because it could be really helpful just to pause and think about the tasks in front of you and where you should spend your time. A little bit of planning will go a long way in making you more strategic in getting all those to-dos done that just need to get done, so that you can be freed up to spend time on things that really matter. And I will link up the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where you can find this time management matrix that I've just talked about, in case you want to check it out and do a little bit more research. Last but not least, I have to mention that you need to monitor your energy. Our weakness and an appeal for our personality, it's extroverted sensing. It's our inferior function, and it's certainly a draw and a lot of fun. When we're exploring, we're outdoors, we're traveling, we're taking in things with our senses like great smells or sounds, music that we really love, or beautiful scenery, or again, being out in the woods for a hike. But it's a real challenge when we're having to think about how our bodies are feeling sometimes. Again, when I get locked into a project, or when you get locked into a project, or other INFJs do, sometimes we just tune out our body, and that's okay for a little while, but it's important to stop and think, hey, how am I doing? How much energy do I have? And again, when it comes to getting tasks done and not hyper focusing, in the time and circumstances when we have to get that to-do list taken care of, it's really important to take into account how much gas so to speak, you have in your tank? What are your batteries like? Are they completely drained? Take that into account as you figure out how much time you can devote to each of the tasks. Because if you don't take care of your body, it will punish you. Time and time again, I find out that I'll go hard and heavy after something creative. And then after doing so, I'll end up sick because I spent so much time on it. I'll demand too much of my body, more than it was actually able to give. And I forget that I'm just a regular person with physical limits. And it's really important to keep that in mind. My wife is great at this because she's more in tune with how she's feeling. So when she's really tired, she's able to say, I need to take a break, although she really likes to get tasks done too. But I think it's difficult for us as INFJs because we're not as in tune with our bodies. So stopping and monitoring how you're feeling from time to time, and again, taking that into account when you go to tackle a project can really help you from getting stuck on one thing and help you make the mental decision, okay, how much time can I really spend on this one project so that you don't end up completely spent. At the end of the day, I want you to be able to get stuck on something you really care about that matters to you and that you have the potential to master and serve others with. It's going to energize you. But in order to do that, you need to be able to knock out that to-do list and figure out how to fit your tasks to your time, how to navigate the time management matrix, and then to monitor your energy level. If you take some time to do those things, it's going to free you up to spend the time where you're really going to enjoy spending it. Want to learn more about your personality? Grab a free copy of my book, The INFJ Personality Guide. You'll learn about the mindsets and motivations that cause you to do what you do, as well as some common INFJ challenges and solutions to those challenges. I wrote the book to help you understand that you're not messed up or broken, but that you're just different. And you can get a copy absolutely free by either texting the letters INFJ to the number 444999 or visiting ispeakpeople.com/INFJ personality guide. And I'll put that link in the description below this video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you found it helpful. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please do so. I'm creating new videos each and every week with insights, tips, and research into the INFJ personality for INFJs just like you. And if you are a subscriber, thanks so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next video.